Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 36 of the 5-Minute Major podcast of St. Louis, presented by Across the Board. This is part two of I don't know how many Cup playoff episodes we're going to do, but we're trying to do 2 a week, as we said. So
hopefully
here
all the
we
way
go
to the
again.
Stanley Cup Finals, but you never know.
Yeah, we'll cover it no matter what, but we're hoping it's St. Louis, and we're kind of on a high right now after the last 2 games at home, and we'll get into that. It's been fun, and the playoffs as a whole has been a lot of fun. First round's been crazy. Yeah, let's. We're just gonna get right into it. We have not much else to say. We'll dive into like the suspensions and the brawls and all that per each series. So, Josh, start us off with the East, the Leafs and the Sens.
Yeah,
How's it going?
so two big games that happened here. We'll kind of jump to game 4 to just tell you where they're at. Ottawa comes out of nowhere and wins a beautiful game in overtime with a solid goal, honestly, from Sanderson.
Yeah.
But let's dive into this series a little bit here. Toronto's controlled it, honestly, the majority of the time, in my opinion. I like the big 5, I guess you could really say, the big 4, whatever you want to kind of want to call it, have really showed up. Marner has 6 points in 3 games. Matthews has 5 points. Nylander and Tavares had 4 points. I mean, they're doing everything you need. And then I think the biggest guy that's probably not getting enough credit is Matthew Knies. Man, he has been a superstar in this series. And I think we're seeing Ottawa struggled because they haven't got the goalie when they needed him. And I didn't think that was going to be the case in this series with Ullmark in net for Ottawa. But as you can tell, I'm a little hoarse from that game still on Thursday night. We were screaming more than anything this week. So bear with me as we get this podcast going. But also DP57, man. Like,
yeah, timeless, huh?
I miss him so much. Can you come home, bud? The door's open. We'd take you home in a heartbeat.
Yeah, he looked pretty good in the last game. Honestly, since he's come back, he's been pretty solid.
Yeah.
Stinks that he's had to miss most of the year for, family related reasons.
Yeah.
Glad everything's all right, and glad he's back in the playoffs. Like,
right where he deserves to be.
You just know how good he is at protecting the puck, making smart plays.
Yep.
Like, just such a solid playoff player, vet player. Yeah, game 4 was so tight. Like, there's something about the Senators, though. They don't shoot the puck much on net. Like, it's weird. They seem to, control some play and pressure, but then they just never shovel it on net, and Stolarz makes easy saves, and it's like, you guys could be winning these games. Like, pressure the net more.
I feel like the non-experience of that team in playoffs is really showing up.
Yeah, a little hesitant to just shovel it on net,
Yeah.
But dirty goals are the way you win playoff hockey games. And
Seriously.
we know that. But yeah, they came out and they ended up winning this game in overtime. Power play goal from Stützle, and then they had a shorthanded goal from Pinto in the first period. So their special teams doing well. And then Toronto came back, scored 2 unanswered, and it was JT and Knies. And then it was DP57 to take a lead, and then it was Oliver Ekman-Larsson, who was former 20-goal scorer in Arizona. So he's kind of bringing it back a little bit. So good for him. And then, of course, like Josh said, Sanderson in overtime. So good for Ottawa, 3-1 going into game 5. They're going back to Toronto, though.
It's over. Like, they're not winning in Toronto. I honestly thought it was going to be over in 4, if I'm being very honest. It would take a good run, Ottawa. It's just Craig Berube's hard to beat in the first round.
Yeah, it would take a miracle. I think the way they played, obviously they won the game, but they need to be a little bit better still.
Yeah, I agree.
So we'll see what happens there. Let's get into the Capitals and the Canadiens. This is game 2 and 3. Game 4 is tonight while we're recording, so sorry we don't have an update on that. You will see it yourself. Washington have been dominating. I feel like Montreal had a couple solid games but weren't good enough, kind of like how the Blues were. And but shout out Montreal for game 3. They came out and they were buzzing, and the Bell Center was so loud. It was a lot of fun to watch on TV. So game 2, This was Washington going up 2 on the series. They scored 2 quick ones in the second period to take the lead, and then they held on to win 3-1. McMichael with 2 goals. He's been so good. Underrated player. And then Logan Thompson made like a crazy save in that game. So, and Montembeau's been playing pretty good too. It's just the Habs offense really wasn't converting in that game. And then in game 3, Montreal came out and they started scoring. So McMichael, he had another goal. So that's 3 goals in 3 games played for Washington. Good for him. Ovi scored. So he's still staying pretty hot. And Logan Thompson took like the beating of a lifetime in this game. He got a puck straight to the neck, was wincing from that. He got ran by his own player on accident. He had to get taken out of the game, could barely put weight on his leg. And then he comes out and he's practicing the next day. So it was really wild. Both teams had goalie injury issues. Now they're kind of on like e-bug watch, which is crazy.
Which is never a good sign in the playoffs.
No, it might be battle of the backups for this game 4 tonight. But yeah, Montreal came out. They scored 6 on them. Good stuff.
Yeah.
And they had a wild brawl after the final whistle.
Yeah, this playoffs, man, there's a lot of bad blood. I feel like there's more bad blood this year than there have been in years past.
Yeah, last year I thought was awesome. This year's I think is better.
Yeah, I mean, last year was a lot more skill in ways, and this year is like a ground and pound, beat the crap out of each other.
Yeah, it's been fun. Tom Wilson and Josh Anderson got into it on the bench. Props to the referee for breaking that up on the bench.
Yeah.
And I think they both just got a fine, which is good. Yeah, don't suspend them. Just let them have a little fun. And then, of course, Tom Wilson came out with the gif of the year and did the whole whiny thing, like, whoa, boo-hoo, screaming at the players. So that's a lot of fun. So we'll see if there's any more bad blood tonight.
Yeah.
All right, talk about your Hurricanes.
Yeah, the Hurricanes go into game 3, and I thought they were going to go up 3-0 in this series, but they dropped this game. Defensive game, truly. Going into the third, it was 1-0 Devils after the first period with a beauty of a Heischer goal, which I love Heischer, man. As much as
underrated.
Underrated,
so
not talked about. But Dawson Mercer as well. Early goal in the third, take a 2-0 lead. Kane scored twice to tie it. Double overtime. And a player that has been in a lot of rumors for Blues loving and would like to have him here, Namath. First career playoff goal. And New Jersey gets a little bit closer in the series. Game 4 is currently being played right now.
Yeah, what's the score of that one?
It is 3-2 currently. Hurricanes are outshooting the Devils 22-19. Goals from Timo Meier, Nico Hischier, Svechnikov, our boy that we love dearly here, Jacob Slavin, and another from Svechnikov, assisted by Father Time himself, Brett Burns.
Wow, so a close game.
Yeah.
I was watching it a little bit. The Canes were up 3-0, I believe. And then Freddie Anderson got hurt again. I feel so bad for the guy. It almost looked like he got ran a little bit by Meier.
Yeah.
Bissonnette was saying it's not intentional, but it should have been a penalty. They didn't even call a penalty on it, which was wild. I mean, to me, you got to stop earlier before you're hitting the crease, but also the defenseman needs to prevent his goalie from getting ran. So it kind of goes both ways a little bit. But Meier, kind of a little dirty play, and hopefully Anderson's okay.
Yeah, but I mean, you're still in good hands with that backup.
Oh, yeah, Kachekov or whatever his name is. They trust him. And he was he pretty solid.
47 games this year.
Yeah, pretty solid. When Anderson was hurt.
Yeah.
So
seems to be often.
Yeah.
But shout out Jacob Slavin, though. They're really like sharing the ice time this game. Orlov's leading the way, but Slavin only is sitting at 17:43 left in this game. Yeah.
So maybe they're just hoping, I don't know, just keeping him fresh. I don't know. Or their defense is so deep that they can just do that, which makes way more sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll see how game 4 turns out for that. If it goes tied, the home teams are winning all the games.
Yes.
Like, it's wild. So, yeah, but good on the Devils for stealing the game. I thought it was going to be more of a sweep on this series more than the Leafs-Sens series, so maybe they both go 5 or 6. I'm hoping.
I don't think it goes more than 5 in either of these.
Yeah, it would be kind of like a miracle, especially with the injuries just everywhere, you know?
Yeah.
All right, let's go to the Panthers-Lightning. So Bloodbath. Battle of Florida is holding up strong. Game 2, Florida took this one They killed an early penalty and then scored from the point. I think it was Nate Schmidt. That was the second goal of the series. And then here's some more stats for you. Tampa Bay only had 19 shots on goal in this game. Vasilevsky and Bobrovsky played great, but ultimately, Florida won on an empty netter. Let's see.
Florida giving up the body with 20 block shots, man.
Yeah, that I take note of these in our notes for any team that leads by like having a lot of block shots, just because it's so key. Your goalie isn't facing as much; you're just getting in the way, and it kind of eases the pressure, and that's a big part of winning hockey games. So you only had 19 shots on net, but 20 block shots on top of that. Like, you got to get the puck through somehow.
Yeah.
Shout out to Kachuk, Marchand, and Bennett. Just the biggest rat line in the history of NHL playoffs.
You would love to have it, though.
Oh, I love it. I love watching it. That's the type of line that a cup team has, just to cause disruption and score. And score goals. They're all skilled and powerful. So good on Florida for taking that game. And then game 3, kind of a different story. It flip-flopped. Vasilevsky, he kind of has had bad games against the Panthers just in general in the last 15 games. He dominated this game. I mean, he looked really good. Only had 1 goals against in 34 shots. Gensel, my boy, 1 goal, 2 assists for him. Got laid out by Matt Kachuk, took it like a man on a late hit. And then Kachuk scored. So he's the lone Florida goal in a 5-1 loss. Another heavy game. Both teams 0 for on the power play again, 2 games in a row. That's brutal. But a heavy game. And as for the Kachuk interference, it's just an interference. Good clean hit, but late, unfortunately. No suspension, and that's what they did. No suspension or fine. So, and Hagel will be back next game, so everything's fine. Tampa Bay wins. Hagel's back. No suspension for Florida. We're kind of back to even. So we'll see how game 4 goes. I don't know how they're so behind in games. Like, the scheduling is so weird with this series specifically, but because I think game 4 is not till like Tuesday or maybe tomorrow.
Game 4. Game 4 is Monday.
Okay, so they do play tomorrow when you guys are listening to this. So we'll see what happens in Florida.
Hello, everyone. Welcome here to the 5-Minute Major podcast of STL, presented by Across the Board. Yes, that's right. We are now partnered with Across the Board Handcrafted Unique Entertainment, which is a one-of-a-kind St. Louis-based company that creates some of the best games in the country. They have games ranging from horse racing to NASCAR, baseball to hockey. Across the Board provides quality entertainment for all ages. Here's one of their penny hockey games that we were able to partner with them on. So it has our logo, which is super cool. You can play this game at home. You can display it in your man cave. There's so many different potentials that you can do with these games. But you should check them out, guys.
We couldn't be happier to have Kim McDaniel and her company on as a sponsor or partner. Her and her husband started this company from their garage 17 years ago, and it's blossomed into something so cool and amazing. You will learn lots more about them, so please stay tuned and make sure to check their links in the description below to know more about the McDaniel story and Across the Board.
All right. Jumping over to the West.
Yes, sir.
Very interesting series I have here. The Golden Knights versus the Wild. Game 3. Minnesota does go up 2-1 in the series. The Wild are healthy, and they are red hot, let me tell you. Gustafsson, still so underrated and underappreciated, but playing great. And Krill the Thrill Kaprizov, my gosh, 7 points. Boldy's doing just as much with 6 points. They're unstoppable.
Yeah.
And they
look like it right now.
Wild. And I'm not trying to be punny, but the Wild defense has Vegas top players just shut down.
Yeah.
Eichel and Stone a -5, which I love to see that because I hate Mark Stone. Don't hate Eichel, hate Mark Stone.
Yeah, and then this was game 3 before we mentioned game 4. So, I mean, things change a little bit for the first line of Vegas, but it's still a close game in game 4.
Yeah.
I mean, just props to the Minnesota defense. Seriously, like they're healthy and they're back to looking like I thought they were going to win the Central this year. So good on them for showing up again. Sorry, I kind of stole your thunder here. I'm just going to keep rolling.
You're good.
Vegas 0 for 4 on the power play in game 3. That's a difference maker. Minnesota scored 2 power play goals, so you got to stay out of the box. And here we go again with the block shots. 23 of them for Minnesota. Huge.
Yep.
Helps Gustafsson out a lot, who's just been making great saves.
Yeah. All right, going to game 4. Is a tied up series. Gustafsson with another solid game, even though the Wild lost. 42 saves on 46 shots. My gosh.
Yeah, Vegas was peppering this game.
Yeah, Vegas first line finally gets on the board here, and then the one and only Ivan Barbashev with an overtime game-winning goal. A lot of overtime games in this playoff so far, which is fun hockey, let me tell you. Late nights for these players, though, but very competitive games. Boldy held off the score sheet, which seems like it is the recipe for success. You shut down a Krill the Thrill and a Boldy, and you can get it back in games. Vegas did go 2 for 5 on the power play, while there was an 0 for gopher for the Minnesota Wild, 0 for 2.
Yeah, and the first line, I think Stone had an assist and Eichel had an assist. Barbashev had the game winner, so they all kind of got a point there and helped themselves out and helped the team out. I'm pretty sure Aiden Hill's still in the net. I still think he's not the guy. This Minnesota team, I feel like they're so dynamic if they get the space. So it's going to be relying on the defense and their scoring, and they really need the first line to keep rolling, or else this could end in a bad way for Vegas. All right, Kings Oilers. This is a great series in my opinion. I love the Kings. Like I mean, I don't love them personally. I just love the way they play. They're so fun to watch. Like, lockdown defense, and it's great to watch McDavid and Draisaitl struggle in some of these games. So we got game 2 and 3 for you. I think they're playing like tonight at like 9:30 Central, so we're obviously not going to be talking about that. So game 2, Kings 6, Oilers 2. Dominance, dude. The Kings just don't lose on home ice. They're like the Blues. They just don't lose on home ice. They're insane. The crowd there's wild. Their depth is really important to this series. They just keep crumbling the Oilers, just being able to roll 4 lines to shut down their like 2 lines that they roll on Edmonton. Shout out Kempe and Kopitar. They had 4 points each in this game. Kuzmenko had 2 points, so he's a great pickup from Philly.
Yeah, seriously.
Sneaky great pickup from Philly. And then Kemper had a way better game in this game specifically. McDavid, 0 points. Huge for the Kings to do that. The Oilers' defense and the goaltending are just costing them. Bouchard and Nurse were -2 as a top D pair.
Bouchard looks awful.
Bouchard can't play defense.
It's
Nurse
awful.
can kind of, but he's not good enough to do it by himself. And Bouchard is so offensive-minded, like offensive-heavy, that the defense, they just cannot cover anything. That Byfield goal where he was able to just walk in and top cheese it over Skinner, I'm like,
Bouchard,
you got to move
the opposite direction.
Yeah, like I understand taking the pass away, but get on the ground,
come on,
come at him.
You
use
can
a
make
poke
a move.
check, something.
Yeah.
So that was a bad look for him. Skinner let in 5 on 28 shots too, so that doesn't help either. So
yeah.
All right. Game 3, short little list for you. It was back and forth. I was watching it live. It was crazy. Trevor Moore had one of the wildest one-handed goals I've ever seen on a breakaway, so that was sick. To send it into the third, I think they were up 4-3. Kings took a penalty. Oilers took a lead, and then they had 2 empty netters, 7-4 final. McDavid is now up to 7 points. Draisaitl is now up to 5 points in 3 games played, so they're contributing.
Yep.
It's their defense and their goaltending is the main issue, and we always come back to say, why didn't you go get a Blackwood? Why didn't you go get a so-and-so, Fleury, anybody? Why didn't
Gibson.
you keep Broberg? Why didn't you keep Holloway?
But you got Jake Wallman, though.
Jake Wallman has actually been okay in this series. I think he's a plus. I looked at it. I think he's one of their better defensemen in this series. He should be playing top minutes, in my opinion.
I honestly am waiting to see, but that means they'd have to drop a Bouchard. And they won't.
That's okay. Just play less defense and put him out there for all the special teams. And
honestly, at this point, they might as well roll 70.
I don't know. Connor Brown had a great game, I will say, in Game 3, so shout out to him. So, I mean, they did have a little bit of depth scoring in this game, but it's still not enough. Like, their defense still got 4 scored on them. You can't score 7 every game, man. Like
that's true. Jake Wallman is a +5 with 1 assist.
Yeah.
In 3 games.
Yeah. So good for him. He's their best defensive defenseman, which is wild to say.
Yeah,
especially with Ekholm out. Like Ekholm in this might be a tight series. So
that's true.
Or they might be leading the series, I should say.
As much as we're ragging on Evan Bouchard, his defense is awful, but he's put up 5 points in 3 games, which is pretty awesome.
It's exact. He's just out there to score the points, but Nurse isn't a great pair for him because he can't.
Also, would have been nice if you guys could have got a Cam Fowler who put up 5 points in 1 game, but
yeah, they could have got him for a steal too.
All right.
Going to our rival series in the Central.
Yeah, good Lord, what a series are we talking here?
So good.
Game 3, the Stars win this game in overtime with a winner from Sagan. Jamie Benn gets on the score sheet. The oldies but goodies are contributing in the series.
Yep.
The Stars have only led this series for a little over 62 seconds, but lead it 2-1 after 3 games. Landeskog, I love you. Welcome back to the NHL. You were missed. You are a class act, and I love watching you play hockey, let me say.
Yeah, he had a great big hit on Rantanen in this game, so that's cool. That stat of them only leading for 62 seconds but being up 2-1 after 3 games is just ridiculous.
It's ridiculous. Yeah, good Lord.
They're playing perfectly at the right time. Doesn't make any sense, but it worked. And then game 4, go ahead.
Yeah, game 4, we even up the series. It is an Avalanche all-out kind of game.
Yeah.
Let's see what the score was. The score was
4-0.
on that one, 4-0.
Yeah.
So Logan O'Connor, Nathan McKinnon doing what he does. Landeskog getting on that score sheet.
Yeah.
And Sam Girard, man. Landy getting an assist on that goal. So 2.9 for Landeskog. So shout out to him. Just a great dominating playoff game. And these happen.
Yeah.
I think Blackwood definitely deserves that respect. I think we definitely ragged on this trade, but man, he's been the real deal for him and coming up big in some games.
Yeah.
Ottinger with a terrible night, man. Pulled after 3 goals against.
Yeah, it just wasn't his night, and I just think the whole team just got outskated. The Avalanche decided to play fast. And if they are able to play their game, it's so hard to stop, dude.
Yeah.
Their whole team is so fast. You can just tell. It's like they practice with weights on their skates at the high altitude so that they are just
they're
going.
Buzzing.
It's wild. And again, shout out Landeskog, man. First goal since Game 6 in the 2022 Cup Finals. He's just a playoff player, huh?
Yeah.
You might as well do this every year.
Just give him the regular season off. Look into the playoffs, and he'll come back ready to go.
Good for the Avalanche. I want this to go 7.
Yeah, I
really
think
do.
It's likely to.
Yes, for sure. Okay, now we get into the Blues and the Jets, what everybody has been waiting for. Game 3 and Game 4 in St. Louis. Shout out to everybody for showing up and showing out at the arena. It was so loud.
It was louder than any 2019 Stanley Cup playoff game.
You think so?
There's other people that have said it though.
Yeah.
Chris Pronger was saying it too on Spittin' Chicklets that this was such a loud arena that it was louder than the Miracle Run.
Yeah.
And then Darren Pang today said this has got to be one of the loudest arenas of any playoff team.
Yeah. Yeah. So St. Louis loves their sports, man. We always have. Just most underappreciated sports city. I think Robert Thomas also mentioned that it was louder, or as loud, if not louder, than Game 6 of the Cup Final in 19.
Yeah.
So, let's go Blues and let's go Blues fans. Let's talk about the games, though. Game 3, we're going in our backs against the wall, down 2-0. Josh and I went to this game. It started at 9. Why?
Yeah, my gosh.
It was awful.
Has now produced me to be a sick individual right now, so thank you.
It was so much fun, though, man. From puck drop, the team was active. The defense completely flipped the script. They started playing offense again.
Yeah.
The rush chances were great. I'll just run through the stats. Buchnevich hat trick. Nice. He ended up becoming tied second in goals in the playoffs after that one game.
Gotta love it.
Snuggie tied for first for points for rookies with Lane Hudson at the end of this game. Bennington, no words. Playoff Bennington's back. He looks so good. The Blues controlled every zone. They had great sticks to break up plays. They used their speed. They forechecked hard and they backchecked hard, and that's how you win hockey games. Simplify it and win those battles.
Yep.
And then Cam Fowler. Franchise record 5 points in a single game for a defenseman with a goal and 4 assists. He was tied for first in points for a defenseman at the end of this game in the playoffs. And in game 4, he had another point. So I think he's probably still tied for first or in the top 3 for points.
Yep.
I posted a post-game video on my Twitter and retweeted it. I just said hashtag high on Helly because it should be trending.
Yeah.
Hellebuck, we all know that he doesn't seem to like the bright lights. We definitely took advantage of that. The crowd was great, but Hellebuck cannot stop anything above his shoulders, and that is kind of why we scored 7 goals.
Welcome to Clayton Kershaw status, baby.
Yeah, so going into game 4, we're thinking do the same thing, right? Like play super hard, score as many goals as you can on Hellebuck to run him out. Oh yeah, by the way, Hellebuck got pulled in game 3, and Comrie came in. So let's see what happens in game 4. Well, we tied the series today. Let's go, baby. Never a doubt.
No, it was
back against the wall. This team, I don't know what it is. They figure it out. And
no one's
going to
want to play here on home ice against us because it is brutal.
14 home ice wins in a row dating back to February 23rd. That is bonkers.
Yeah.
Binnington has 13 straight wins on home ice as the goaltender. That is ridiculous. We will say that the first period of this game wasn't great. 2 penalties. We killed them off, but we had way too many D-zone turnovers. We had 0 offense. And Kyle Connor scored. So the only players that matter to shut down, it seems, are the players we've mentioned, which is Kyle Connor and Mark Scheifele. Well, Mark Scheifele was totally shut down in this game. Kyle Connor got his chance and he took it and he scored. It's kind of amazing to think that the Winnipeg Jets don't have like any depth scoring right now in the past 2 games. Actually, mostly of the series, I can't even like remember anybody but Iafallo scoring. So it's like really interesting to see. They look kind of flustered. But after this first period, the Blues took the momentum because in the last 20 seconds, we had a little puck luck. Pass from Fowler off a defender, goes right to Parayko. He 1-tees it. It's a knuckle puck, and Neighbors has a wild tip, and it goes in. Like, amazing. That's the type of stuff that wins you hockey games, right? So yeah, we're going into the second period tied 1-1. That was Fowler's 4th straight game in the playoffs, and now he has 8 points. So good for him. And then we opened the floodgates again. Tucker scored, Shen scored, Falk scored. Neighbors became the youngest player since Fabry to have 3 points in a playoff game in a blue note. That's crazy. Texier got a point, and Jets were flat-footed, and Hellebuck was yet again rattled and pulled after the Thomas goal in the 3rd. So, dominance.
We were 1 defensive player point away from breaking a 22-year-old record.
Which record is that?
That every defenseman on a team had a point in the game.
Broberg didn't get a point.
Broberg did not get a point. I think it's a record held by the Vancouver Canucks 22 years ago.
That's crazy because Broberg had like a rush chance down the middle.
Rush chance in the middle.
He had a 1-tee from the point. Like he had his chances.
Yeah.
That's a wild stat. Wow.
Yeah, also can we take a moment to give Alexander Texier shout out, man. Good job, buddy.
100%.
I was about to be real pissed off when they were saying Matthew Joseph was about to be back in the lineup. No offense to Joseph.
No.
But Tex is doing the little things. I mean, he's not flashy. He's not going to lay a body on, but he's got good puck sense.
Yeah, he had some power forward like plays that I really appreciated. He also kept the puck in the zone and dumped it in the corner perfectly to set up. I think it was the Blues Tucker goal.
Yes.
So a great play from him. It's like those little things like Fowler does, like just keep it in, make the great pass, protect the puck. Like those things go unnoticed sometimes. And Texier is really taking advantage of his time on the ice, so shout out to him. And
Yeah,
Monty did
seriously.
praise Joseph before the game. He's like, because he was in the line rushes he was in practice and all that. But then the line rushes came out on the warm-ups, and it was Tex. And everyone was like, oh, I guess Texier is playing. And then he comes out and gets an assist and plays great. So shout out to him. What were you going to say?
No, I was just saying, like, it's some phenomenal play by the depth players right now. The fourth line has stepped up. You are seeing great skating from Torpchenko. I believe he has to be one of the top skaters on this team, and I don't think people really get it because he never stops moving, and it's great.
Yeah, he's fast and he's huge, dude.
Yeah.
So he just never stops playing north. He back checks hard. He's got skill too. He can score goals.
Yeah.
I'd say he's probably been the best player on the fourth line, but shout out to Radek Faksa, dude.
Yeah.
They have him out there taking face-offs in crunch time situations, and he's winning 65% of them.
Yeah, so I'm trying to pull up here. I think Logan Stanley did not play for them today.
I thought I saw him, maybe. Unless I'm thinking of Sam Berg.
That's
54-64, right?
Yeah, I wanted to look at that. I forgot to look at that until now. Let's see. Score.
But I'll just run through a couple more stats while you're looking.
Did not play.
So did not play. Okay.
Did not play.
Two of my favorite stats from this. Winnipeg had 36 penalty minutes by the end of this because they were just cheap shotting at the end of the game. Lowry dropped his gloves and punched Texier in the head 5 times. No call. They just kicked him out of the game. They're just like, 10 minutes, guy. See you later. Luke Shen got another 10-minute misconduct. See you later. He's got like 50 penalty minutes in the playoffs. So just, I can't think of the guy's name, but Bolduc got like
Appleton. He
smoked him in the back of the knee.
Into the bench.
Yeah, he smoked him into the bench, and then Appleton at the end of this game that started this whole Lowry thing. Dirty, like chopped to the back of the knee. No call.
Yeah.
Just like wild Winnipeg stuff. You can't let it get under your skin. And the Blues didn't. They were kind of laughing at him, just chirping at him. Like, they're lucky Shen was on the bench because I think he probably would have killed 5 guys.
Yeah, no. I have to say, I have the stat line here from this game, which is it's a very interesting one. So the Jets outshot us 31-24.
Yeah.
They had a slight edge in the faceoff off of 50.9.
Yeah.
Power plays were both 0 for gopher. Hits were even at 40. I didn't feel like it was a big hit game in the grand scheme of us.
Yeah.
Block shots, though. The statistic that we have talked about in every game. Blues had 20.
Yeah.
Guess how many the Jets had?
6?
11.
Okay. So and then their big legs are the only things that got in the way because they weren't. I didn't see any of them like diving.
No. And then the takeaways, the Blues had 6. We did have 18 giveaways, which is not great. But
that was the first period.
We came out. Yeah, terrible first period, but heck of a game.
Yeah, shout out to the Blues, man. Backs against the wall, they just keep pulling it out and winning these hockey games that you have to. It's been happening for 2 months now. I think it's going to keep happening. You got to go to Winnipeg.
Back in the lineup, man.
Yes. Yeah, did we mention that? Tucker got hurt kind of poorly.
It looks bad.
It looks bad, like MCL, ACL tear type bad.
Yeah.
So we'll see, but Suter's back for sure in this next game on Wednesday. So next man up. Let's go, old man. He looked okay in the first couple. Tucker looked okay as well. He just got the goal today, and then unfortunately got hurt.
I think he just provides that grit you need.
Yeah, just a little bit faster, a little bit heavier. Suter won't make many mistakes, but he's just slow. Yeah. So we'll see how that goes.
I was going to say, I think going into this next game, very interested to see how this will go. But long-term future for the Blues, there are some rumblings if we can get into a competitive series in the second round that the one and only Dylan Holloway might be able to come back at that point.
Yeah, and there's like no news on him because this is just how playoff hockey is though, bro. I just feel like no one mentions anything about anything. Like, we know he's hurt week to week. When's he coming back?
No one's
I don't know. We'll see. I've heard that he's done.
Yeah, there's been that, but it sounded like a lot of this is coming from Spit and Chicklets and Chris Pronger.
So Pronger said that he's probably okay?
That he could maybe go by the end of next round.
So let's make the Western Conference Finals.
Yeah.
and get the kid up to speed.
Hopefully Tucker is a short-term injury, but I
I
really
think
it may
that one looked
be.
like season ending to me.
Yeah, I
It
don't know
looked
if it
pretty
was a
bad.
hyperextension or a tear there because he had no weight on that leg. But also we saw Broberg do the same thing
And he
and be
was
back.
back in what? 4 weeks? Not
Well, even
even?
the second time though.
Oh, true. Yeah, we thought he was going to be done again, and he just came
Yep.
back the next day.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
we'll
we shall
see.
see.
Blues look great. I'd say Montreal has a little bit of an edge in that series right now. We'll see what happens there. Avalanche look good. Stars look good too. Edmonton looked okay, but I still think the Kings are looking better. And
Yep.
Minnesota, man, shout out to them. We'll see what happens there. We'll see what happens in Florida as well. I think that's going to be a really close game 4.
Yep.
Yeah. So
I do have a final score from the Hurricanes Devils game.
Perfect.
It is a final of 5-2 with the Hurricanes winning.
Wow. So they just scored a fourth and then an empty netter, maybe.
Yeah, let me see what we got here. Empty netter scored by Svechnikov, which I believe gives him a hat trick.
Wow. So shout out Svechy and shout out the Canes, man. They're holding on. You know, it's probably not the hardest series they've had to play with all the injuries in New Jersey, but take care of business, get the rest, and then you'll be playing a pretty tough series in the next one, whether it's Montreal or DC.
Yeah.
So that series is now 3-1. And yeah, so this is a quick one. We wanted to make it as short as possible because the last one was long. Be sure to message us, like our stuff, retweet our stuff, show it to anybody and everybody you know. We'll do, we love you guys. We appreciate you for listening. This is the best time of the year for sports in general.
For sure.
And yeah, let's go Blues, baby. What
Let's
do you
go
got to say,
Blues.
Josh?
No, love you
That's
guys.
it?
We appreciate your support.
Okay.
Make sure to like, subscribe, follow, and we will see you here on Sunday. Hello, listeners. Josh here to tell you about the story of Across the Board and how it began. Husband and wife duo Ryan and Kim McDaniel dreamt of beginning their own business together while enjoying drinks on their patio. Thanks to an after-dinner party with family, their dreams began to take shape, and Across the Board, handcrafted wooden board games began. With Ryan's construction background and Kim's marketing and business experience, they began to design board games for family and friends. Several years later, they started a garage hobby, which grew into a warehouse operation, which is still steadily growing today. Sadly, Ryan went through a battle with colon cancer and peacefully passed in 2015. Kim uses his strength, hope, and true love to inspire and drive the force behind Across the Board. It is truly a pleasure to be sponsored by a great business and an even better family. If you'd like to learn more about Across the Board, please check out our bio with their links. If you're going to search them, go to www.shopatbgame.com or visit their locations in Crestwood and West County Mall in Des Peres. For any other questions, don't hesitate to give them a call at any of their offices. It's a family business that we love and we love to support. And like always, the 5 Minute Major podcast is here to support STL local businesses, just like they're helping us.